It started as an ordinary afternoon in a small-town grocery store, the kind of place where everyone knows each other's name. But when a young woman named Emily saw an old man being humiliated at the checkout line because of his skin color, something inside her broke. She stepped forward, paid for his groceries, and walked away thinking she'd done the right thing. Hours later, as the sun dipped below the horizon, 3 black SUVs pulled up outside her quiet home. Men in dark suits stepped out, their faces unreadable. What had she gotten herself into? And who was the old man she helped? Emily had always been the kind of person who believed the world could still be kind. At 27, she worked long shifts at the local diner, saving every dollar she could to take care of her younger brother and their late parents' small home. Life wasn't perfect, but it was peaceful. A rhythm of quiet mornings, tired smiles, and the comfort of routine. Every Saturday, she stopped by the grocery store on Main Street. It was her small moment of normalcy. Familiar faces, friendly greetings, and the simple comfort of routine. But beneath the surface of her small town's politeness, she often noticed subtle divides. People judged by the color of their skin, others ignored like they didn't belong. Emily never liked it, but she stayed quiet, convincing herself it wasn't her place to interfere. That day, though, something felt different. The air in the store seemed heavier, tense. She noticed an elderly black man standing at the checkout, fumbling with a few crumpled bills. The cashier's expression was cold, and the people in line behind him whispered impatiently. It wasn't just rudeness. It was the kind of silent cruelty that cuts deep. Emily's chest tightened. She watched as the man's hands trembled, his dignity slowly slipping away under the weight of humiliation. In that moment, she couldn't stay silent any longer. What Emily didn't know was that her single act of kindness, one simple, human choice, would unravel a chain of events that would change her life forever. The moment Emily stepped forward, the store fell silent. The sound of coins clinking, the murmur of voices, all of it vanished. Every pair of eyes turned toward her as she quietly took out her wallet and handed the cashier her card. The old man looked up, startled, his tired eyes searching hers for an explanation. She only smiled softly and said nothing. The cashier hesitated, clearly uncomfortable now that someone had disrupted the moment. But she processed the payment without a word. A few people behind Emily whispered, some rolling their eyes, others shaking their heads. Emily ignored them. She only wanted to help, to give that man his dignity back, even for a second. As the man shuffled away with his groceries, he turned to her with a faint nod of gratitude, a silent thank you that carried more weight than words ever could. Emily didn't think much of it. She went back home, cooked dinner for her brother, and forgot about the incident. At least she tried to. That night, though, something felt off. A car she didn't recognize drove slowly past her house, twice. She brushed it off as coincidence. But when she took out the trash later, she noticed the same black SUV idling near the end of her street. Its windows were tinted, engine quietly running. When she looked toward it, the headlights flicked off. Her heart pounded. Maybe it was nothing. But something deep inside her whispered that this wasn't random. The next day, strange things kept happening. Her phone glitched, showing missed calls from numbers she didn't know. A man in a dark jacket seemed to be watching her at the diner. She felt eyes following her everywhere she went. Emily's brother laughed it off, saying she was overthinking. But that evening, 3 black SUVs rolled down their street again, slow, deliberate, and in formation. They stopped directly in front of her house. The engines went silent. She froze by the window, breath caught in her throat. Men in suits stepped out, all moving in sync, methodical, calm, like they'd done this before. For a moment, no one knocked. They just stood there facing her house, as if waiting for something. Emily's thoughts raced. Had she done something wrong? Who were they? Then a chilling realization struck her. What if the old man wasn't who he appeared to be? Her mind spiraled through every possibility. Was he a wanted man, a witness, someone connected to something bigger? The questions came faster than she could process them. She turned off the lights, trying not to breathe too loudly as one of the men slowly stepped onto her porch. The soft thud of his shoes on the wood echoed through the silence. Then, 3 slow knocks on the door. Emily's heart hammered in her chest. She glanced toward her brother's room, whispering for him to stay quiet. Every instinct told her not to open that door, but deep down, she knew. This moment was connected to the grocery store. And whatever was about to happen, there was no turning back now. Emily stood frozen as the knocks echoed again, louder this time, firmer, commanding. The three black SUVs outside looked like shadows of authority, their engines humming low in the darkness. Her trembling hands reached for her phone, but the screen flickered. No signal. A man's voice called out from beyond the door, calm yet cold. "Miss Parker, we need to speak with you. It's about the man you helped yesterday." Her stomach dropped. How did they know? Her mind raced as she tried to piece it together. That old man, his worn jacket, his quiet eyes, nothing about him had seemed dangerous. But now these men were at her door in the dead of night, and their presence felt more like a threat than a request. Emily whispered for her brother to stay hidden and slowly stepped toward the window. Through the blinds, she saw one of the men glance toward the house across the street, and another speak into a small device on his wrist. Military precision. This wasn't the police. Her fear twisted into anger. What could she possibly have done wrong? All she had done was pay for a man's groceries. But in this world, even a simple act of kindness toward the wrong person could make you a target. The doorknob rattled. Her pulse raced. Then, suddenly, the front door burst open. Flashlights cut through the darkness of her living room. She stumbled backward, blinded, her heart pounding in her ears. "Where is he?" one of the men demanded. "The man from the store." "We know he spoke to you." Emily's voice cracked. "I don't even know his name." But their silence told her everything. The man she had helped wasn't just an old stranger. He was someone powerful, someone being hunted. And by helping him, she had crossed an invisible line she never knew existed. Outside, another SUV door slammed. Someone new was arriving, and in that instant, Emily realized the truth was far more dangerous than she ever imagined. When the men finally left, the street fell silent again. Only the echo of engines fading into the night remained. Emily collapsed onto the floor, her heart still pounding, her home a wreck of fear and confusion. They hadn't found who they were looking for. They hadn't even explained why they came. But the message was clear. She had stepped into something much bigger than herself. The next morning, Emily learned the truth. The old man she helped wasn't a criminal. He was a retired civil rights attorney who had spent his life exposing cases of racial corruption inside powerful institutions. Recently, he had gone into hiding after receiving threats for uncovering a new investigation, one that could implicate people in high places. The men who came to her door weren't law enforcement. They were trying to silence him, and anyone who helped. For days, Emily couldn't sleep. Every sound outside felt like another warning, but she also felt something stronger, conviction. She realized that her small act of kindness had become an act of defiance in a world where standing up for the wrong person could cost you everything. She decided to share her story publicly, not for attention but for truth. Her words spread online, sparking conversations about how prejudice and power often hide behind uniforms, titles, and laws. What started as one woman's fear became a reminder that silence is never neutral. It only protects the oppressor. Emily never saw the old man again. But his message lived on through her courage to speak up. Because sometimes, doing what's right doesn't make you safe. It just makes you human. And maybe that's what the world needs most. Would you have opened the door if it had been you?